In the wake of the killing of George Floyd, we've had many protests and riots and looting. And while these actions are illegal and wrong and they hurt the people that didn't do anything, there's nuance to this that needs to be taken into account. I don't support the looting or the rioting, but at the same time I understand why it's happening. And it's not just hooligans. Call them terrorists if you wish. Terrorists are just people who don't have a voice at the table, who are fighting to be heard. That is the nature of civil disobedience. That is the nature of protest. We can condemn all of this rioting, but what I think we need to do is listen to all perspectives. As Trevor Noah said recently in a video, which I highly recommend watching, there's a social contract that we're expecting people to follow right now, while they're not being given the rights of that very social contract. They don't have a voice. They've been trying to change the system for decades and decades, and it still hasn't changed. I think we need to understand that when people routinely live a life where their lives are threatened, where justice is not served for them, where their social contract is not honored, that they have to protest. And if they can't get our attention through civil protest, they will do it in any way they have to. If you put yourself in their shoes for a moment, you saw that you were being oppressed on a regular basis, that you never got fair treatment, that your brothers and sisters were murdered by the arm of justice, would you be sitting idly by and just doing peaceful protests? You think that would be enough when you spent a lifetime doing that, when your parents spent a lifetime peacefully protesting and nothing changed? Is that what you would do? If you haven't watched a video of the killing of George Floyd, you should. It is traumatic, it is awful, but it is a rare glimpse into the eyes of a different walk of life. For people who watch police kill people of their color regularly. If you haven't seen that, if you haven't witnessed that in your own life, then you need to see this, because this is part of our body as a society. Part of our body is being damaged regularly, killed regularly. And statistics will show you that it's getting better, and that's awesome. It's awesome that it's getting better, but it's not good enough yet. And that's why these protests are so necessary. They're so right. I hear people talk about the sorrow around buildings that were burned down in the '92 Rodney King riots that are still scorched today, that haven't been fixed up. And you know what? It is sad. It's very sad. And it's also a reminder to never forget what is going on here, what the problem is. And that's why it's so important that we honor this, that we listen, that we take this moment to really listen. Because if we really listen, this might not have to happen again. If we really enact change, this might not have to happen again. But if we don't, it's going to keep happening. And you can quote me all these statistics and say, oh, it's getting better, it's getting better. Yeah, that's what they said to Martin Luther King Jr. back in the 60s, when there was still separate schools and separate drinking fountains and bathrooms. I mean, it was in restaurants, you know, it's like, no, the change should have happened 200 years ago. It's not acceptable now. Here's one thing we need to really remember as white people. This isn't about shame. It isn't about us feeling guilty. That's beside the point. It's for us to take action. If we take action, there's no more guilt. When I watched that video of George Floyd being killed, I could feel it. I could feel the rage and the anger. I could feel what it would be like to be a passerby and want to just run at that cop and stop him. And then watching it happen while I did nothing. This is what's been happening in America for decades, for a century. We give lip service to this and we do nothing. We say, oh, that's terrible, that's so terrible, oh, and we do nothing. Black people don't want white people to just give them lip service and be politically correct. They want action. They want the police force to stop this permanently. They want the culture to be fixed. They want justice to be actually served equally. And this is a huge systemic issue because we've got black society still marginalized economically. And so we have to address that too, otherwise the imbalance is going to continue. We also have inadequate police training to de-escalate violence. Police forces across the nation should step up their game. Even if they've got a great track record, still, just make sure that there are no racist sociopaths in your police force. Make sure that there are no policies that encourage the use of force and escalation of violence, intimidation, domination. This is a time to listen to all perspectives, to really hear them, to integrate them, to pull them in and go, this is painful, I hate this. I hate the looting, I hate the rioting, I hate the violence. But I also hate the system that continues to oppress people. That must stop. And we have the power to stop it. We do. We just need to listen. We need to not reject, not flinch and react and go, oh, no, that's not my fault. We have to take responsibility now and make the change. Make the changes to our police force, to ourselves. To make change for our culture means that we have to really understand the roots of this. White supremacy, even if it's subtle and you don't believe at the top of your mind that white people are superior to other races, you have to deal with that ideology that has been in our culture for generations. You have to pull it out of the ground, all the way down to the deepest roots, and examine it, tear it apart. And we need to look at people of other races with more compassion, more consideration, more curiosity. How is it for you? What is going on here for you? We can be better as a people, and we have to be, if we want this type of violence and rage to stop.